the truth about man's ancient past in the story of Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel. 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? 2. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. 3. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. 4. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. 5. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Genesis 3. It is written in the law concerning this, when God gave a command to Adam, From every tree you may eat, but from the tree which is in the midst of paradise do not eat, for on the day that you eat from it, you will surely die. But the serpent was wiser than all the animals that were in paradise, and he persuaded Eve, saying, On the day when you eat from the tree which is in the midst of paradise, the eyes of your mind will be opened. And Eve obeyed, and she stretched forth her hand, she took from the tree, and ate. She also gave to her husband with her. And immediately they knew that they were naked, and they took some fig leaves, and put them on as girdles. But God came at the time of evening, walking in the midst of paradise. When Adam saw him, he hid himself. And he said, Adam, where are you? He answered, and said, I have come under the fig tree. And at that very moment, God knew that he had eaten from the tree of which he had commanded him, Do not eat of it. And he said to him, Who is it who has instructed you? And Adam answered, The woman whom you have given me. And the woman said, It is the serpent who instructed me. And he, God, cursed the serpent, and called him devil. And he said, Behold, Adam has become like one of us, knowing evil and good. Then he said, Let us cast him out of paradise, lest he take from the tree of life, and eat, and live forever. But what sort is this God? First, he maliciously refused Adam from eating of the tree of knowledge, and, secondly, he said, Adam, where are you? God does not have for knowledge. Would he not know from the beginning? And afterwards, he said, Let us cast him out of this place, lest he eat of the tree of life, and live forever. Surely, he has shown himself to be a malicious grudger. And what kind of God is this? For great is the blindness of those who read, and they did not know him. And he said, I am the jealous God, I will bring the sins of the fathers upon the children until 3 and 4 generations. And he said, I will make their heart thick, and I will cause their mind to become blind, that they might not know, nor comprehend the things that are said. But these things he has said to those who believe in him, and serve him. The testimony of truth. Gnostic text from the Nag Hammadi Library. Thus it is established that according to the Hebrew Bible, Yahuwah commanded the man and woman that they should not consume the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and this is regarded by Gnostic pagans as an act of wickedness on the part of the Creator, this being due to their high valuation of ever-increasing knowledge and progress toward conquest of the material world by mankind. At this point, one might begin to suspect, based on the zealotry of those whose point of view is nothing more than mindless embodiment, the stated position of the Royal Society and the modern scientific community in general, who seem to will death upon all whom they view as inhibiting the progress of mankind, that the influence of Gnosticism upon the organization's agenda did not end with its Gnostic alchemist and Freemason founders. You might be inclined to sing the praises of the Gnostic progressives, touting all the technological progress which has made life so much easier for man. Aside from objections which could be raised on the basis of the probability or certainty that progress caused many of the ills it claims it will cure, in addition to the possibility that some claimed horrors of natural human existence were invented by advocates of progress, here are some concrete examples of the consequences of their pursuits. Scientists suggest that cancer is purely man-made. Cancer is a modern, man-made disease caused by environmental factors such as pollution and diet. A study by University of Manchester scientists has strongly suggested The disease rate has risen massively since the Industrial Revolution, in particular childhood cancer, proving that the rise is not simply due to people living longer. Phys.org. Origins and evolution of the Western diet, health implications for the 21st century. There is growing awareness that the profound changes in the environment, e.g., in diet and other lifestyle conditions, that began with the introduction of agriculture and animal husbandry 10,000 years ago occurred too recently on an evolutionary timescale for the human genome to adjust. In conjunction with this discordance between our ancient, genetically determined biology and the nutritional, cultural, and activity patterns of contemporary Western populations, many of the so-called diseases of civilization have emerged. In particular, food staples and food processing procedures introduced during the Neolithic and Industrial periods have fundamentally altered 7 crucial nutritional characteristics of ancestral hominin diets. Lauren Cordain, S. Boyd-Eaton, Anthony Sebastian, Neil Mann, Stephen Lindeberg, Bruce A. Watkins, James H. O'Keefe, and Jeanette Brand Miller. American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Do you have a grain brain? It appears as agriculture became more prominent, the skull case shrunk in the occipital area as the jaws shortened. This means the entire posterior skull base has been facing constant natural selection pressures with the advent of agriculture. The effects of these things have left modern men with changes that can cause a smaller posterior cranial fossa, where our cerebellum now sits. As this part of brain has gotten smaller, we lost the ability, as a species, to climb trees well and do some of the things that our ancestors were masters of. Another thing that has happened is that our teeth had to shrink to fit our smaller jaws as our skull base shrank. This has left modern men with a Neolithic disease many do not often consider a disease. That is impacted wisdom teeth. If you follow the Paleolithic occlusal records of Dr. Unger, you will find straight and worn-down teeth were very normal on an ancestral diet. Crooked teeth in the human skull was a very refined thing in the fossil records. It also changed the mechanics around the temporomandibular joint as well. This is another Neolithic disease we face as a species. Chiari malformation is a situation where the posterior cranial fossa is too small to accommodate the size of our cerebellum. What happens as the person grows into adulthood is that the cerebellum actually tries to push itself out of the skull and into the foramen magnum, which is the hole in the skull base where the spinal cord exits the skull. Part of the cerebellum, called the cerebellar tonsils, push down and try to exit with the spinal cord. This begins to put pressure on the spinal cord and can cause some significant symptoms that bring the patient to see a physician. Most people do not realize that this condition is tied to a smaller and flat occipital bone. There does not seem to be much evidence that this condition occurred much before the dawn of agriculture in the Paleolithic fossil record. So this is another Neolithic disease that rarely gets a lot of press. The cerebellum grows very late in human gestation. So the epigenetics of a foreshortened occipital bone predisposes modern humans to this malformation. Prematurity is also associated with vegan and vegetarian diets. The long-term neurodevelopmental disabilities seen in survivors of premature birth may be attributable in part to impaired cerebellar development. I have often thought that this might be the real cause of sudden infant death syndrome. If the child is born with a large cerebellum and small brain space, it can increase intracranial pressures transiently in children while they sleep. If they retain enough CO2, this causes an increase of cerebellar blood flow, and the child can immediately stop breathing and die. JackCruz.com. In light of the previous quote, a certain other passage concerning Genesis's first human family seems fitting. From Genesis 4. And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. 3 And in process of time it came to pass, that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. 4 And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock, and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel, and to his offering. 5 But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. From the 4th Annual Report of the NSC Ad Hoc Agency on Population Policy. A growing body of evidence demonstrates that population trends can be influenced by determined public and private sector programs. The keys to success generally include commitment of government leadership, effective delivery of family planning information and services, local community involvement, and an enhanced status of women, including education and employment opportunities. As fertility falls, countries initially benefit from having a bulk of working-aged adults and relatively fewer dependent children and old people, known as a demographic dividend. Eventually that benefit reverses. By 2050, developed countries will have twice as many old people as young ones. As you see this situation spread across the map, you begin to understand the looming problem each country will have to manage on its own terms. It's a difficult trend to reverse once it's in motion, as Japan well knows after decades of unsuccessful state campaigns promoting having children. OZ.com, Acumen, World Population Decline. There are other cases in which the Pentateuch addresses the evils which attended those points during which the sons of Cain ruled over others in the ancient past, bringing upon them tremendous suffering and misfortune, and these form strong parallels to their agenda for the entire human populace in the future. 17 And unto Adam he said, Because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree, of which I commanded thee, saying, Thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake, in sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. 18 Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. 19 In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. 20 And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. 21 Unto Adam also, and to his wife did the Lord God make coats of skins, and clothe them. 22 And the Lord God said, Behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil, and now, lest he put forth his hand, and take also of the tree of life, and eat, and live forever. 23 Therefore the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden, to till the ground from whence he was taken. 24 So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims, and a flaming sword which turned every way, to keep the way of the tree of life.